me, brother. Well, guys, the dam has broken, and at long last, Pixar's Hoppers is finally streaming on Disney+, which means it's time to find out how it fits into the Pixar Theory. Now, I don't know about you, but a lot of times when I see a trailer for a new Pixar movie, I get a little nervous that somehow the new movie might break the theory. But having seen it, it's the exact opposite. In fact, Hoppers may provide the single largest bit of proof ever that the Pixar Theory is real. I speak, of course, of the chalkboard. A scene I took personally, by the way, but in a good way. It was like they were literally winking right at us. Yes, all of us watching, but also specifically us, the Super Carlin Brothers. To which I just want to say, oh, that's so sweet, you guys. We see you too. Do you want to maybe hang out sometime? Maybe get a bowl of cereal or something? I mean, first this, and then you invite us to the premiere of Toy Story 5? I mean, it's too much. The chalkboard is an insane lore dump for us Pixar Theory aficionados, which shows the origin point of a vast number of technology in the Pixar movies, including the original ideas for both WALL-E and the cleaner bot Mo, Socks the cat, talking dog collars, dogs flying in planes, hopping into cars, and scream canisters. What? Did Dr. Sam just become the most important person in the history of the Pixar Theory? Take that, boo!
I'm Tigger.
Is there anything this woman can't do? We haven't seen an inventor of this caliber since Syndrome.
I save the best inventions for myself.
Anyways, obviously we have a lot to unpack here, so let's just dive on in.
Pixar Theory, the Pixar Theory. We're finally going to see clearly the Pixar Theory.
Okay, so if you're somehow unfamiliar with the Pixar Theory, it's the idea that every Pixar movie exists in the same universe on one giant timeline, each movie telling one small part of a much greater overall story. It all starts with the asteroid missing the Earth and the good dinosaur, or I guess maybe with Elemental, or I guess also Soul, depending on your perspective. But then it ends way in the future with Monsters, Inc., or Brave, or Soul again, depending on your perspective.
You're more than welcome to opt out.
Along the timeline, though, we see the rise and fall of a number of different groups. Obviously, the dinosaurs kick things off, followed by the humans, and then eventually the machines, and lastly, the monsters.
Hey, Ted! Good morning!
But during the time of the humans, there can be no doubt that another group was always quietly lurking in the background. The animals, who in Hoppers are tired of being second best and finally decide to do something about it.
So this is how liberty dies. With thunderous applause.
Yeah, aka kill or squish an entire rally's worth of people with super-powered sound waves?
The sound is not just extremely annoying, it extremely squishes you.
Hold on, let me just check my notes here. We've got Butterfly takes control of humanoid robot after the hero of the movie kills his mother, then threatens mass murder. Yes? Okay, that is the plot of this kid's movie. All right. I'll say this for Hoppers. Whenever they had a choice to hinge or go unhinged, they went for it. And I think that's to its credit.
Get it off!
But until Mabel enters the fray, the animals and Hoppers all confirm and stay consistent with what we've known about other animal groups. Namely, that the more domesticated you are as an animal, the less intelligence you will develop. Take, for example, the chickens in The Good Dinosaur, or the fish in Luca, or Buster in Toy Story. On the other hand, we also know that left to their own devices, the animals of Pixar will develop some intelligence and even create societies. In Finding Nemo, for example, they have traffic lights, real estate markets, I guess, and even a school.
First day of school! Wake up! Come on, first day of school!
Similarly, in A Bug's Life, they have a queen who also wears a crown, just like the kings and queens of the animal groups and Hoppers. Plus, the ants have advisors, workers, and trade agreements with other societies. Someone at Pixar has a traumatic memory about grasshoppers, and that led to this movie.
Hey, I'm a compassionate insect.
Hey, that guy's also called Hopper. That's the name of the movie. But sure enough, in Hoppers, the mammals of the forest have designated a king, George, and all obey the pond rules.
Oh yeah, she caught me. It's pond rules.
Complete with morning exercise routines.
And up. There it is, looking good.
However, the animals in captivity at the beginning that Mabel is trying to rescue are less smart, as far as we can tell. Although one of them is named Crush, which is a nod to this guy in Finding Nemo.
So give me some fin. Noggin. Dude.
So far, we're not breaking any rules.
Hooray!
Until that is, Mabel breaks the rules.
What?
Have to say, you guys, having the main character in a Pixar movie actually kill another character was not on my bingo cards, but we are where we are. But on this note, I do love the consistency of how the Queen Butterfly acts versus how Gypsy the Moth acts in A Bug's Life. Like, they both do the big wings, scary eyes move. Plus, there's no doubt that Titus here is giving big Heimlich vibes, except that, Titus is like a megalomaniac, whereas Heimlich is just like a megalo delight.
I'm a beautiful butterfly!
In the scene where Mabel does the squish, though, if you look close, you can actually see the birds from For the Birds watching on, which is a fun little nod there, and one of many, many references Hopper makes to others' movies. Like, there's a lot of out-of-universe references happening here. Like, this is the obvious Charlotte's Web reference right here.
Hey, what's that?
It's an arrow, Ted.
Mabel shouts out to Avatar, another movie about having your consciousness transferred into another vessel.
This is nothing like Avatar.
George describes his ascendancy as playing out just like Simba's in The Lion King. George also designates Mabel as Paw of the King, which is a nod to Game of Thrones, and the Hand of the King. Then at one point, Mabel is described by one of the lab techs to have assumed a Joan of Arc-like position in the animal society.
Hang in there, Joan.
I even think the emoji inclusion of loaf of bread is a nod to Mitchell's versus the Machines, another animated movie where humans are fighting machines, or I guess in this case, it's a bug pretending to be a human in a machine, but I think you see what I'm getting at. Also, do we think the names George and Jerry are a reference to Seinfeld? And if so, does that make Mabel Elaine? And who would Kramer be?
I don't even really work here.
All right, y'all, now we're going to take a quick pause to give a huge thank you to today's sponsor, Shopify. So whenever we start a new project, we are brimming with excitement and overflowing with optimism until it's launch time. Then it's like the human brain's favorite hobby is pretending it's an expert in catastrophic forecasting. It's like, well, we're screwed. But this is where there is never a better time to have Shopify on your side, an actual silent partner whose entire function is not only providing solid business intel through a whole suite of data reporting, but the easy to build template means that even if your passion lies in your idea and you're not a programmer or a tech person at all, you can still deliver a premium website so that you are launch ready and starting on the right foot. And Shopify can also aid in creating marketing and email campaigns, streamline writing product descriptions, page headlines, even enhance your product photography. And if you get stuck, no problem. You're still not alone because Shopify's award-winning support is available 24/7. So it's time to turn those what ifs into with Shopify today. Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/SCB. Again, that's shopify.com/SCB. Last time, just for safety, shopify.com/SCB. But anyway, let's get back to how this fits into Pixar instead of, the real world. Because one cool thing I think we learned was the location some other Pixar movies take place in. Like, for example, I think the glade Mabel is protecting is actually the same area the pet collector lived in The Good Dinosaur. And I think for sure that Beaverton University eventually becomes Monsters University way down the line. I mean, just compare the entrance gates. Plus, on that note, on Dr. Sam's chalkboard, she outlines the idea for the Scream canisters right here. And we know that Monsters U is a place that they make Scream canisters.
Coincidence? I think
not. Yes, Barney, we know. We even get some insight into how the canisters work, which is described as, what if we can harness energy through vocalization? Which fits pretty nicely with what we already knew. Like, obviously you need some kind of human scream or laughter to capture, but what Dr. Sam has not realized yet, but that we know, of course, is that the emotion of the sound also plays a part as well. But, we'll give her a pass for now because, on her chalkboard, it's just But hey, now that we're at the chalkboard, let's talk about the other ideas because they are all so important. On the chalkboard, Dr. Sam also lays out designs for both Wally and Mo, the cleaning robot in Wally, which all but ensures that at some point in the future, Dr. Sam will be hired by B&L as part of their attempts to clean up the planet, which may seem like an unlikely partnership, but her position as an environmentalist likely outweighs her concerns over aiding the mega conglomerate like B&L. Unless she dies first. What? Interestingly, Dr. Sam does not have designs for Eve, but actually, even that fits, because the planet gets more and more covered in trash, and after Elio, it's easy to ask, why don't the humans reach out to the Intergalactic Council known as the Communiverse for help? And our answer is, well, maybe they do, it's just not in time. Because if you notice, Eve has a strikingly similar faceplate design to Lord Grygon, and in both cases, they can see completely through the entirety of the plate, and the crude eyes are just for the benefit of others. Not to mention, Eve just seems far more advanced and sophisticated than any of the other robots we see on Earth or the Axiom. Oh, and she has blasters. So thanks to Elio, we could source the inventors of Eve, and thanks to Hoppers, we know who created Wally. And thanks to Soul, we know who Wally is. Now, the sad thing is that despite having the ideas for cleaning robots during the time of Hoppers and being an environmentalist, we know that Dr. Sam is not going to outpace the trash. But then going back to the chalkboard, there is a big idea circled right in the middle, which lays out the idea for a dog collar that will make you able to communicate with dogs, which, hey, cute, look at that, it's IDA 113. Amazing. A113 is also the number of her, lab. And it's no surprise this is the idea she's working on first, because she's already solved interspecies communication, but the interesting thing is how this affects the date of the movie. Because Hoppers is strongly suggesting here that the dog collar thing was her idea, meaning it has to take place before Up, which happens in 2009. But then if we scooch over to the bottom corner of the board, we also see that she had ideas for Socks the cat, which is an odd one to deal with because Socks is a character in Lightyear, which is a movie inside of the Pixar universe and Andy's own spark for a Buzz Lightyear action figure at his birthday party. So the question is, did she end up inventing Socks for the movie? Or did she see the movie and then decide to try and make her own socks? It's really hard to know, but there is another clue we get about the year it is right here on Jerry's laptop, and it's an ad that reads, Al's Toy Barn, 75% off. A discount that feels so steep, it is way more in line with a going out of business sale, which we know happened to Al in 1996 when Toy Story 2 takes place. So Hopper's taking place in 1996 feels pretty plausible to me. But then the other big question is, how did Charles Muntz get his hands on the technology if he's down in South America all this time? And the answer almost has to be that at some point, Dr. Sam herself travels to South America and encounters Muntz, who recognizes her for the gold mine she is in terms of technology. I mean, Dr. Sam going to South America to study the jungle down there even makes sense. Her whole thing is environmentalism. But the talking dog collars aren't the only idea that Muntz manages to steal from this board, because she also has on the board an idea for dogs flying planes, something that she scribbled to herself. Too far? Yeah, too far. And yet the idea gets out there and Muntz uses it. But the sadder thing is, we know what Muntz does to explorers who stumble across his dirigible.
A surveyor making a map?
So, yeah, maybe she doesn't end up working for B&L then. They just find her research and make the Wally robots themselves. Which also really sounds like B&L, right? They just steal other people's research. Poor Dr. Sam. And then there is the last idea we see on the board. Transferring your consciousness into a car.
He did what in his cup?
Wow. Is this how it's done? At long last, the actual answers, humans hop into their cars to live a mechanical existence? Because, if that's true, it is scary to think how widespread the technology must have been. Just look at how many cars are at these races. Although I guess if you're BNL, you can't put every single person on Earth into a Star Cruiser. You know, they probably need some kind of solution for the people being left behind, right? Interestingly though, Pixar now has in back-to-back installments offered us a very elegant solution to the car's problem specifically. Because the Hopper tech proves human consciousness can be placed into mechanical objects. Like, that's the entire premise. But in addition to the Communiverse sending Eve bots to patrol for life, they could also send clones, or at least cloning clay that could allow for humanoid stand-ins to participate in the cleanup. And as Elio's clone tells us, once their mission is complete, they melt and...
Feel free to spread me over a plant as nutritious fertilizer.
Fertilizer, aka the product to help grow plants. Plants like the plant that Wally finds and Eve is specifically scanning for. Honestly, this one could go either way. Like, we had no solutions for the cars and now we have two, or possibly both. Like, maybe if you hopped into your car, you have your full memories, but eventually, like, you still die. But then the cloning clay, if that becomes a car, it doesn't have any memories. It's just always been a car, right? But here's what makes Hopper such a perfect fit into the Pixar theory, is that it continues to tell the same story we've been watching unfold in all the other Pixar movies, which is that human construction and interference is slowly endangering the rest of the natural world. In this case, it's just a single beltway being built through a single glade, but we see it hold true in Up as well, as the quaint country home that Carl and Ellie used to live in is now in the middle of a vast city. There is pollution all around the aquarium and Finding Dory, and eventually we know where the planet is headed. Which is of course sad for the planet, but the important takeaway for the Pixar theory though is this. The chalkboard all but confirms the existence of the Pixar verse, and that all of these movies are connected, and many of the future plot points and important inventions can all be traced back to Dr. Sam.
Fix the latency issue, firm synaptic handshake. I don't know. I just feel like someone saw me come in.
And that is how Hoppers fits into the Pixar theory. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like on the video if you haven't already, and subscribe so you don't miss any future Pixar Theory action from us. If you want to see the complete Pixar Theory encompassing every single Pixar movie all the way up through the year 2025, I recommend this video right here. But otherwise, until next time, ducks go in cups.